Shabbos Daf Samach Dalet. How are you all doing? The halacha is if you take the hair of a goat, and that's what you typically make cashmere out of, even though it's not arig, it's not woven, it still could be mikabel tuma if you take 3 strands, 3 strings of this goat hair, you can make a necklace out of it. The Gemara brings a gzeir shava. There's a connection between the tumah of a sheretz and the tumah of a mace. By both it says the words beged ve'ar, and they're both extra, and therefore whatever halachas we have by the tumah of sheretz apply to the tumah of mace, and whatever halachas we have by the tumah of mace apply by the tumah of sheretz. By sheretz it says maise izim, you take the hair of a goat and you make tavi va'arig, you spin it and you weave it. Therefore anything that's not spun and wove, like a rope that you just take hair of a goat and you clump it together, but it's not spun and woven, it's not mikabel tumah. By mace it says, we learn that a chevek v'kilkeli, these are straps that you strap onto a horse to hold its saddle down or to prevent things from falling backwards when a horse is on an incline. Even though these are made specifically for an animal, nevertheless they are mikabel tumah, they're tavi v'arig, maise izim. By sheretz, and the same halacha will apply to sheretz because we learn gzeir shava. By a sheretz it says oisak. We learn from oisak that it's not only goat hair, but any hair. It could be the tail of a horse, the tail of a cow, any kind of hair is mikabel tumah if you do tavi va'arig. When it comes to gzeir shava, there's a concept of mufna. You can learn gzeir shava, but you could answer it easily. The only way you can ask a question on gzeir shava is if you have mufna, you have extra words. There's machlokes if you need the extra word by one of the 2 cases or by both cases. But by us, by sheretz and mace, we have extra words. The words beged va'ar are completely extra. Why? Because both sheretz and mace have a hekesh to shichva zera. And by shichva zera it says beged va'ar. There was no need to say beged va'ar by mace and by sheretz, therefore it's completely extra. So I can't ask any questions on it. What question would you ask? You would say, well, you cannot learn out mace from sheretz, and you can't learn out sheretz from mace. Why? Because each one has its own chumrah. Sheretz is so powerful that even a small piece of a sheretz, the size of a lentil, is mikabel tumah. Whereas by a mace, you need a lot more, you need an olive's worth, so it's more kal. On the other hand, mace is so chomer that once it does impart its tumah, it lasts for 7 days. Whereas by a sheretz, it only lasts for 1 day. But lucky us, we have extra words, beged ar, and gives us a gzeir shava, so you cannot ask these questions. It says in the pasuk, Vanakrev es korban Hashem. When Klal Yisrael came back from the war, they wanted to bring a carbon. They wanted to give all the jewelry, the gold jewelry that they found. And what does it say in the pasuk? What type of jewelry? Asher matza kli zahav etzada, ankle bracelets, v'tzamid, regular bracelets, v'tabas, rings. And then it says, agil v'chumaz. What's agil v'chumaz? Says Rebbe Lazar, where it's referring to jewelry that goes on private parts. Agil is a form of a chest, and kumaz goes by the Beis HaRechem. And he says, the Gemara says that you see it in the Targum. It's a lashon of gichuch, of leitzanos. Arayis brings the leitzanos. Says the Gemara, Rabbi says, I don't need the Targum. I can learn from the actual word in the pasuk. Kumaz. What does kumaz mean? Kumaz is a Rosh Tevis. Kan makoim zima. This is a place of arayis. It says in the pasuk that Moshe Rabbeinu was very upset at the commanders of the army. What was he so upset? He thought that when they went to war, they were over the same avera that they were over beforehand in the other war, that they were over on znus. So they told him, don't worry about it. Not a single one of us is missing. In other words, not a single one of us went off the derech. Although we didn't sin physically, but we did sin in our minds. We thought about znus, and therefore we're bringing a carbon. But nakriv is korban Hashem that they did znus with their eyes. Rav Shesha says there's a hekesh, since the Torah says 5 types of jewelry. 3 of them are out in the open. 2 of them are in private. There's a hekesh between the private ones and the exposed ones. That there's an isser to look at a woman's pinky the same way there's an isser to look at the Mokam Erva. Says the Mishnah. These are the following things that a woman is permitted to go out on Shabbos with. When she braids her hair, we said in the Mishnah in the beginning of the parak, she cannot braid her hair with a regular string and go out with Shabbos. She might take it out. But if that string is made out of human hair, her own hair, her friend's hair, or even animal hair, that's permitted to go out with on Shabbos. She's not going to remove that. Why? Because it's disgusting. Her friend's hair is disgusting. There's nothing for her to show off. Animal hair, certainly, it's a completely different species. You're allowed to go out with it. However, an older woman who has white hair, gray hair, should certainly not wear a younger woman's dark hair, because then people will make fun of her and she'll come to take it out. A young girl never wears white hair. That's not a concern. As we learned in the first Mishnah, Tefes and Sarvitim, these are headbands. One goes over their head from ear to ear, and the other one goes on the front of the head, on the forehead from ear to ear. This Mishnah tells us that if it's sewn into the hat, it's not a concern, because how does she take it off to show her friends? By removing her entire hat. That will expose her hair. That's not a concern. She won't do that. However, the Mishnah says, Kavel and Pe'anachos, a wool cap and a shaitel, one is permitted to go into her own private domain with. Chachamim made an exception to the rule that a woman should not be misgana al baila. She shouldn't become disgusting in the eyes of her husband. She should remain attractive to her husband. They made an exception on two things, kavel and the pe'anachos. Rav Kahana says that anything in the Mishnah that it's also to go out into Rosh Hashanah with, it would be also to go out into her own chatzar, private domain. Gzeira, she might forget and go from her chatzar into Rosh Hashanah. The only exception is kavel and pe'anachos. Rav Anani says not true. The things that are also to go into Rosh Hashanah with, that's it. But you could go into the chatzar, all the things in the Mishnah you could go into the chatzar with. The Gemara brings the pasuk of hadava b'nidasa. The simple meaning of nida means nidui, to keep a distance. So the Skenim Arishonim, they said it means that a woman who's a nida should not wear colorful clothing. She shouldn't put on makeup. She should stay far from her husband. Until Rabbi Kiva said, wait a minute, that's a problem of shemet is gan al bailo. She'll become disgusting in the eyes of her husband, and therefore all of this is mutter. So what does the Torah mean b'nidasa? She should remain in a state of tumah until she goes to the mikvah. Rav says if something is usur because of maris ayin, such as wearing armor on Shabbos or lining up camels in a row, then it's usur to do even b'chadri chadarim, even in your own private bedroom. You're not allowed to dress up in armor. In fact, it's a machlokes tanoi. If a person's shirt falls into a puddle, the Tanna Kama says you could dry it out in the sun. And Rebbe Eliezer and Rebbe Shimon Bar Yochai coming up on Lag Ba'omer say that it's usur even b'chadri chadarim. Marasayin is also b'chadri chadarim. Have a wonderful day.